What's going on? So today we're going to be taking a look at the updated version of the iPhone SE. This phone has actually been out for a few months at this point. However, I just kind of wanted to give you guys my thoughts on it and kind of the reasoning why I have this phone currently in my possession, and kind of just give my overall thoughts and opinions, because there are actually quite a few positive and negative opinions out around revolving this phone. Several positive, but also quite a few that are negative. But again, I kind of want to talk about this phone a little bit, and yeah, anyway, so before we kind of go into my opinions and thoughts on this phone, let's first kind of take a look at what is included when you actually buy the iPhone SE in 2022. So the one I actually have here is the black and or midnight color, as they call it, in the base model 64 gigabyte configuration. So this is essentially the cheapest iPhone SE that you can buy at the moment, unless you go used, obviously. But no, the modern iPhones now come in this very strange, very thin box. And the reason for that is because you do not no longer get a charging brick or power adapter in the box. So you have to buy that separately. So that's another thing that's a totally different story. But anyway, so let's go ahead and open it up. Okay, so the little tabs have been pulled. So let's go ahead and slide the top of the box off. And right away, there you can see the iPhone right there, face down. And you kind of get a first look at kind of the color you can see there. It's actually a fairly nice colored black, actually. To be honest, it's pretty good. Anyway, pulling that up, flip it around. Very, very similar to pretty much every other iPhone with this design that we have seen in the last few years. Anyway, moving on, we have again, like I said earlier in the video, very basic box contents. Your literature, your Apple sticker, all that good stuff right there. And then this is another kind of controversial aspect of this. This is the lightning or charging wire, rather. But the caveat here is, you can see we have a USB-C connector on the end of it, which is not a bad thing, because that does allow you to connect to all of the modern Macs and various other devices that you have USB-C. But the problem that here lies with this is the fact that pretty much anyone that has had an iPhone up to this point, especially an iPhone with this design with a home button still on it, you're going to be having, those folks still have the standard USB type A connector, and all of those folks have that standard old version of the power adapter. So basically what has happened is Apple's forcing people now to buy the USB-C version of the power adapter, which again, obviously does not come in the box. So that's an extra cost on top of the $450 or so that this phone costs me right now. I now have to go and get a separate power adapter. So pretty annoying. So anyway, I digress, but that's just, I don't like that. That's just really dumb, in my opinion. Okay, so now to give you guys my thoughts on this phone, I personally kind of like it, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. Because this phone was released just recently, it has all of the modern components that you'd find in it. It has the most recent processing chip. It has, I believe, the iPhone 12's camera system. It's got basically all the modern technologies that you would want in an iPhone, effectively, internally. So in that sense, it's great. But to tell you my reasoning for liking it, and it's not for me. This phone is for my grandfather. And that brings me back to the point of why this phone exists. And the sole reason that I do believe is essentially to keep the phone familiar for those that are not easily able to relearn new things involving technology, such as older folks. And my grandparents, both grandmother and grandfather, are in that group of people. So this phone would be ideal, absolutely ideal for them for that exact reason, because the design is exactly the same. It has modern internals. It's going to be supported for several more years with software updates and so on and so forth. But because the design is the exact same as it has been essentially since the original iPhone that debuted in 2007, anyone that picks up this phone will know exactly how to use it. There is no relearning. There is no muscle memory adjustments that have to be done. There is no swiping gestures, touchscreen, nothing. None of that has to happen. So in my case, my grandfather can actually just buy this phone, pick it up, turn it on, and instantly know how to use it without having to be taught anything new. So I know that there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of negativity towards this phone, and there's a lot of folks that are quite frustrated and kind of mad that Apple didn't redesign the phone. And I get that, but this phone is obviously not for those people that are complaining about the lack of design change. So for those of you that are frustrated that the iPhone SE is exactly the same and the design didn't change, well, this phone isn't for you, obviously. You might as well go with an iPhone 13 or a 13 Pro or a 13 Pro Max or whatever, or even an iPhone 12 if you want to save some money. But yeah, that's kind of, in my opinion, why this phone exists and the reason why the design hasn't changed. The second reason this phone has the exact same design as the iPhone 8 from a few years ago is to save on price and or cost, to cut costs, because it's using the same internals effectively as the iPhone 8, with the exception of a new processor and a new camera system and things like that. But basically the overall hardware of the phone, screen, home button, the outer casing of it, even the front-facing camera is effectively all the same as that of the iPhone 8. And that makes it cheaper. And that's the reason this phone right now you can buy it for about $450. So that would be the second reason this phone exists and the reason the design hasn't changed. But again, I'm kind of going on and preaching to the choir here, but yeah, so I personally am happy that this phone exists, and I'm happy that the design did not change, and it still keeps the classic design of the iPhone, and it still has a home button. Because if I had to reteach my grandfather or grandmother how to use one of the newer iPhones with no home button and all on-screen touchscreen gestures, it would not go well. I can tell you that right now. So for that sole reason, I am very, very, very happy that this phone exists and that I can go and buy this and give it to my grandparents and have no issue and have no complaints, no learning problems, whatever. And they could just simply use it and be on their merry way. But anyway, I've kind of gone on long enough about this, but I just kind of, like I said, wanted to give you my personal opinions and my personal thoughts on this phone, and just wanted to say that I'm glad that this phone exists. Bottom line, I'm happy this phone is sitting right in front of me right now, because it's going to make my life a lot easier, and it's going to make my grandparents' lives a lot easier without having to relearn everything, essentially, that they've come to be used to for the last several years of having a smartphone. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Gave a new perspective, or a different perspective rather, on the current iPhone SE and my thoughts on why it even exists right now. So anyway, I'm going to end the video there. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel very greatly. It's super helpful. Hit that like button as well. That just lets me know that you guys are enjoying the content that I'm putting out. And if you guys have any questions, comments, or just kind of generally want to discuss things about these current iPhone SE, you are more than welcome to do that down in the comment section below. And I may even chime in and reply to things about this, and we can just have a friendly conversation about it. Anyway, again, hope you guys have enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.